Welcome back to this series of Breadcrumbs leading up to the BIA World Festival in December. And in this series we speak with the giants of the industry. And today our guest is Brandt Krueger. Brandt is an event producer and consultant and teacher of the whole world of events with BrandtKrueger.com. And Brandt, what does the new stage look like for you?
I think we've gone over to the digital side in a way that's going to continue moving forward. We've been on 18 months now of Zoom calls and digital platforms and things like that. And I think anybody that thinks we're just going to go back to what we were doing before is probably lying to themselves to a certain extent. That we're going to see the new stage, the new more remote presenters, more remote locations, more digital studios in play. So for me, when we look at like the small home studio, what can be done today versus what could be done 10 years ago, it's absolutely amazing that you can put together basically a studio quality environment in your own home or in your office for tens of thousands less than what you would have had to do it 10 years ago. And you can control it all yourself. You can run it all yourself. So we're going to see a lot more of these small studios popping up in homes, offices, workplaces, hotels, venues, where we just want to visit. If you've got people working on site, have an executive, they need to hop into a call rather than going all the way up to their office or back to the office or something along those lines, going into a studio location there at the venue. So these small stages, these small digital stages.
And that's the new stage for you.
Yeah.
That's the new stage. So do you think every company should have a small studio installed as well?
I really think forward-looking companies should absolutely be thinking about that. It's a very low budget investment compared to the payoff. It's absolutely amazing to me that 18 months into this thing, we're still seeing executives doing the up the nose, shot on a bad camera, with terrible lighting, with windows behind them. It's like we've been doing this a while now. Why haven't we figured this out? So the more that we can set our executives up for success, the better. And it's a very low budget investment comparatively.
Maybe we miss out the teachers there. If nobody tells us it's wrong, then maybe we don't know it's wrong.
I think you're onto something there. So, and that's one of the obligations I think we have as event professionals, is to try and help our executives understand that. And part of that is walking the walk, talking the talk, so presenting ourselves in a professional manner as opposed to the up the nose Zoom shot with the fuzzy background, because we don't want people to see the laundry hamper in the back. I discovered that myself. I was working on client calls, helping presenters, with their sound and lights, and I was doing it from my desk over there. This was my presentation studio. So, I was doing it just over at my desk and it wasn't working. I was having computer problems over there. I came over here and a funny thing happened. They listened better when I was over here. They could see the difference. They could see, oh, that's what good lighting looks like. Oh, that's what good audio sounds like. And that, even on a subliminal level, started to influence them of, hey, this person might know what they're talking about when they're trying to make me look good. So the more that we as an industry, I think, can step up and present ourselves. This is the new fine 3-piece Italian suit for online meetings.
But on the other hand, you could say that it's about content. It's about making contact through the lens with people. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like, as long as your words are okay.
You could. I mean, I've never been a fan of, if I'm understanding you correctly.
I'm teasing anyway. Anyhow.
Okay. If that's I was worried there. You had me worried for a second, Hans. That's really the danger. Is we were already having death by PowerPoint problems pre-pandemic in our in-person events, and it's 1,000 times worse online, of just the talking head with the slides going for 45 minutes, and then we're gonna have 15 minutes of Q&A. And I legitimately have found myself looking for the fast forward button on live online events, because how do I make this go faster?
Yeah. Less torture.
Yes.
Less torture. Okay. So, but Brandt, do you agree that this is accessible for everybody?
Online events are more accessible. That's one of the things that I hope we continue to bring forward. That again, in this push to kind of go back to what we were doing before, there's many things that I really hope we don't forget. That one of the most powerful things that stuck with me over these 18 months is I was interviewing a person with people with disabilities for an accessibility portion on one of my courses, and the person said, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was an equal participant in the session. They had mobility issues that made it difficult for them to get across town, much less get on an airplane and fly to a conference in some other city and then navigate that airport in that city and then get to the conference and then maybe have them thought about accessibility and maybe they didn't. For the first time, they could watch and participate in a conference in the comfort of their own homes and offices. And so for the first time in their lives, able to do that. And so that was really powerful to me. And then combine that with the ease of adding auto captioning and things like that, which to be fair, are really not that good when that's what you're only relying on. The people with hearing disability community refers to those as craptioning. So if it's possible, if you have the budget, it's only about $200 an hour to get a live transcriber, a human transcriber, and it's way better. So, but just knowing that all of these things are capable, we're able to do captioning, we're able to do descriptive audio, we're able to let people join our events from all across the world with all kinds of abilities for the first time. So in our rush to, yay, we can meet again in person, let's not forget the accessibility that we had. We can bring that forward. You can still have a live captioner for your in-person events. They can just bring it up on a web page on a tablet and follow along. That would be wonderful for if the conference isn't in your native language. Just being able, I know I talk fast and I'm sure there's probably going to be some European contingent that has difficulty keeping up with how fast I talk. And just to be able to scroll back and say, what did he say? Oh, okay, great. It would be enormously helpful to not only people with disabilities, but lots of people.
So there's opportunities for creating a level playing field, both in what you can offer in quality of the images, but also in accessibility. Exactly.
Which is why I've been a proponent of digital and hybrid events for over 10 years now. This didn't just pop up 2 years ago.
And I'm not surprised. You were very early, of course, and I've been seeing you at all kinds of international conferences talking about this already 10 years ago. But isn't that much easier for you to say because you had a microphone and you had a good camera?
I wasn't born with it, though. These things, I didn't inherit them from my great grandfather who had microphone and camera. You can do these things one bit at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. And so when we talk about things like the up the nose shot, just get your laptop up a little bit, put it on, start there. That's free, put something. It doesn't matter what it looks like to you. It could be boxes, it could be tissue boxes, it could be, milk crates, get that laptop up so that you've got a nice straight line angle to your camera. Step one. Step two, don't do the window behind you thing. That's also free. Here's the same shot. That's the same shot. And there's the laptop blows out. Told you, we were talking about solar flares in the pre-show. I think the solar flares are starting to get to us. But you can take that same shot, turn it around 180 degrees, and it looks great. So there's all kinds of things you can do for free. Then maybe when you've got a couple extra, bucks here and there, you can upgrade your camera to something better. And then maybe you upgrade your microphone to something better. And then maybe you upgrade your lighting. But it doesn't have to happen all at once. You can do lots of free things first.
Take it one step at a time.
Or you get to spending the big money.
Yeah, on Black Friday, for instance, next week.
Yes, right.
Okay, these solar flares are really built-in bugs for Black Friday, I think, Brandt.
That's exactly. I'm going to have to get a whole new laptop. You saw it. It glitched. I'm going to have to get a whole new laptop now.
Exactly. So if you have this new stage and it's your home studio and it's an accessible, a step-by-step method of getting a better image and making more a better accessibility and making a better connection with the people on the other side of the lens, what would be the future next stage?
I think, it's again this idea of taking that then to the next level of let's get one of these nice studios in every office building, every WeWork space, every, where not just a nice camera, a couple of lights and a microphone, but let's do it right. Let's get 2 or 3 cameras. Let's get a little bit larger venue. Let's get little bit more lights. Still very inexpensive compared to what gets spent on travel every year, on airlines every year, on time out of the office every year for our presenters. So for those that don't have a home studio or live in a condo or an apartment or a flat or something along those lines, that they don't have room for that kind of thing, having these kind of almost WeWork type spaces where you can go rent a studio, sign up for some studio time because I've got 3 or 4 calls that day. Being able to think of it that way, just like we would hire out
an office
conference rooms.
for a day.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got a bunch of calls I need to do today. I'm going to sit down and have a bunch of calls. I'm going to look great. I'm going to sound great. And I'm going to put out my best foot forward. So we're going to see those kinds of things. And then on the even larger corporate scale, we're also going to be doing more with pre-recorded content. So, a lot of companies like Apple, they've been investing more and more and more in pre-recorded content. If you watch the progression of their keynotes over the course of the last 18 months, they're not tapering off. They're spending more money on it and more money. And that's not going to just go away once they decide they can have in-person events again. So I really think what we're going to see is a Tim Cook style comes out, says, all right, now let's take a look at our, latest, let me introduce you to our, and he's going to be the glue between all these pre-recorded segments. Okay. And then instead of bringing everybody to an Apple campus type place, you can then also have these multiple stages. So we think about movie theaters and things like that, where we were already starting to experiment with having corporate events in movie theaters. So then that, you would sit and watch that keynote from a theater space on nice, beautiful screen, big sound, all that kind of stuff. And then afterwards go to a small reception. And that's where you get to play with the gear, the new iPhone or whatever it is. And then you're able to have simultaneous events in London, Amsterdam, New York, Paris, Los Angeles, Shanghai, all over the world.
So this is could be a combination of pre-recorded stuff and live stuff, and that would look like a television program. Or I think if you move that a little further, even then you come to this mystical definition of what is a hybrid. What is a hybrid event? What could be a hybrid event? We could spend an
entire 20 minutes just on that, but I'll try and do the short version. Is for me, the hybrid, it sits very much in the middle. So if you're thinking about kind of a spectrum of events rather than these fixed buckets. I like to think of it as a spectrum. So if you've got fully in-person events, I'll try and do the short version of this. In-person events all the way on the left, fully, just one audience, all in person. If you move a little bit to the right of that, you've got broadcast events. And that's, limited interaction, maybe, and that's watching sports events on TV. Some people are classifying that as a hybrid event, and I'm very much against that, because for me, the hybrid event is a little bit further over. That's kind of right in the middle here. And that's creating connections between these two audiences. The difference for me between a broadcast event and a hybrid event is if I watch the World Cup on television, I would never say I attended the World Cup. I watched it on television. But if you're doing hybrid right, you've got two different audiences, remote audiences, maybe in different locations, people at home, in-person audiences, but they all feel like they attended the same event. That's kind of the real key part, that you're creating connections between those audiences so that they feel like they were at the same event. Next, then you've got digital first. So digital first events. And that's the primary audience is the online audience. And then maybe there are some small in-person, kind of like what I was just talking about, where you've got some movie theaters or something like that. But the primary audience is the digital audience. And then finally, all the way over, you've got digital only. So online only, digital only, those kinds of things. So all of that for me, it's like a spectrum. So where does it land? So the last event that I did, the last event that I did was basically, I would describe it as a live stream with limited interactivity, because we just kind of had the fixed camera in the room, so we could see, we could hear. There was a way to do chat and polling and Q&A. To me, that wasn't hybrid, though. That was just a live broadcast with limited interactivity.
Yeah. If we would watch that broadcast, but also on a second screen, maybe your iPad or your phone, be active on Twitter or any other platform, would that make it more hybrid?
I think that can be part of it, but it's again designing those interactions in. A lot of folks want to just buy engagement. And so when we look at hybrid and even just fully online events and our in-person events, like, oh, I need engagement. So I need to make sure my platform has polling and Q&A and all of this kind of stuff. You can't just buy engagement. You have to design it in. And so it has to be part of the program. So you can absolutely use the chat. You can use all of these things. I think a lot of the event apps that were around pre-2020, I think they'll do well in this hybrid environment because they're already prepared for the in-person experience. And then over the last 18 months, they layered on the digital video Brady Bunch boxes and things like that online. So they'll be able to be that bridge between your two audiences where they're all using the same Q&A system. They're all using the same polling. They're all using the same things. And then we as event folks need to then design opportunities, use that technology. You can't just have it. You can't just throw it out there and say, we've got chat.
No, we see a lot of conferences that say, well, we have interaction, we have engagement at a 9:45. So you just watch and you be in the consumer stands until the engagement starts. But I think you should get people to engage from the beginning of your meeting. But is engagement then part of your definition of hybrid, Brandt?
So the definition that I really like, and I don't have the wordage, right in front of me here, but it comes from MPI 10 years ago again. And the words that I hone in on, it was about attendees in multiple locations connecting to each other. And so that's the word that I really hone in on, is creating those connections. And then the other part of it, I think, is creating not equal experiences. So like, okay, you've got muffins, so we need to make sure you've got muffins. You've got coffee, so we need to make sure. So not equal, but equivalent, experiences, equal value experiences. So because the in-person audience has coffee and muffins and things like that, let's find a way to give the online audience something that the in-person audience doesn't have. So creating equal value experiences for both audiences.
And at least the same respect for both audiences.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's hard, which is why I think we're seeing so many people just say, I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing before. But there's so much value in the accessibility that we talked about, in marketing. And if you do a hybrid event right, it will make people want to come to your in-person event because you've shown that you care about their experience.
This hybrid definition, will that mean... will that be the evolution for your work, for your line of work? Will that be the permanent change to the business?
I wish it was more. I really do, because as a proponent of hybrid and online events before, I'm actually a little surprised that it's not coming forward as much as it is. So I'm kind of going back and, okay, how can I help you with your AV? And maybe there's a live stream and maybe there isn't, and maybe there's polling and maybe there isn't. But I think enough of it is going to pull forward that obviously the industry has changed forever. It's just a matter of redistribution of, maybe there was this many in-person events and this many digital events. Now it'll be this.
Now the other way around.
Bigger. Yeah.
Redistribution. So a few last questions here, Brandt. This new stage, as you described it, do you like this new stage? Would it be a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you? Big thumbs up for you. And the last question, we are compiling a playlist on Spotify for the BR World Festival. What would be your contribution to this playlist?
It's hard because the song that's gotten me through the last 18 months was by a band called OK Go, and it's called This Too Shall Pass. And that just, every time, and it's a great song to just play really loud and belt out the chorus, and you can just get all your anger and aggressions out. But we're trying to look forward. So around my house, I have a couple of teen kids, and so there's an awful lot of BTS around my house. And as I was trying to think about, K-pop, exactly. As I was trying to think about what I wanted to do, they were playing one of the songs. I was like, oh, that's perfect. And so the name of the song is Permission to Dance by BTS. And the lyrics are, we don't need to worry, because when we fall, we know how to land. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight, because we don't need permission to dance. And I think we, as an industry, I think we deserve to celebrate a little bit. I think we deserve to we don't need permission to celebrate and dance a little bit. We've weathered a lot over the course of the last 18 months. we fall down, we know how to land. Well, I mean, I've lost track of the number of industry changing events that we've had over the course of my career, and we just keep coming back bigger and better and stronger every time.
Okay, and that deserves celebration. Okay, thank you very much, Brandt. Thank you for this interview, and thank you for watching. I hope you'll be back for our next breadcrumb and our next interview. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Be A World, and I hope to see you at the Be A World Festival in December. See you then. Bye.